welcome back from that short break. We are discussing about the parish development model, review of the implementation challenges so far. And I'm having two guests. I have the district chairperson OLC5 Burengo District, Mr. Ibrahim Chitata, and then also Mr. Eddie Kainda, who is an economist and educationist. Eddie, before we went for the break, Honorable Chitata was sharing how government has dispersed very little money for this program so far. Initially, we knew that in the previous financial that has just closed, they were supposed to send to each parish about 17 million. And then also this new financial year, which is 2020 to 2023, they were supposed to send 100 million to each, almost 100 million to each parish. But we have so far only seen, as being shared by the district chairperson and also you, that government has only dispersed 6.5 million to each parish, which was part of the 17 million they were supposed to send in the last financial year. So you as an economist are in this arena of Uganda. What do you make of this? Can this money really support support the 39% Ugandans living in outside the money economy to join the money economy? If government is dispersing to them piecemeal in money in piecemeal, for example, you cannot tell people you're going to give them 17 million. The financial year passes, nothing comes. Then the next financial year, where you promise them 100 million comes, then you send for them 6.5 million. Can that really help move people?
Abel, some of us have lived this poverty alleviation intervention, and in my thought, money follows ideas. Government has started to think that the ultimate solution to Uganda's poverty problem is money. But for me, in my thinking, the biggest challenge Uganda's poverty problem is ideology and mindset. We have serious mindset challenges that our persons within the communities are experiencing. And in my view, if you bring a bunch of money and you're giving it to persons who are ideologically poor, then you can be sure that that money is going to suffer the same fate like the PDM is suffering. That is one. Secondly, we need government to use existing structures. You should notice that all along for the last 30 years, government has been emphasizing that persons within communities, within households, make themselves into economic formations or circles or VSLs or whatever it is. And these structures exist in the communities. There's no reason why, for example, under the new model, they had to come up and establish new parallel structures. So the question in the people's minds is, where do I belong? Do I belong here? Do I belong there? What are the advantages of being in this group? What are the disadvantages of being in that group? So they should have been able to use existing structures of VSLs and circles that already exist in the communities than establishing new structures. I was at the center where these groups were being formed, and I was interacted with the parish chief, and I was telling the same thing to the parish chief, that look, in my community, we already have these structures. Why don't you work with the existing structures so that we can be able to promote the program within the existing structures? Some of us have taken deliberate effort to start the parish development model a long time ago in our communities. My chairperson is off, but he would bear witness to me that the things the parish model is trying to promote are the things we've been promoting more than 8 years in my community. We have identified these groups. I have trained them personally at my project, which chairman knows why it is. I have trained them on financial literacy. I have made appraise of the projects they have in their home enterprises, in their home units. I know what everybody does. I know their capacity to have money. I can know their capacity to use the monies in different forms. So it was very deliberate it could have been a better idea for government to use those existing structures to support the new intervention. I personally asked the chairperson of and the mayor of my town council that, look, I'm giving you free knowledge, I'm giving you free expertise because I'm already doing this. Please come and I'm interested in supporting my home community. This is what I've been looking out for. That we should have synergies as process facilitators within the community that have been already doing this, so that we can reap from the experiences we have taken. But like Chairman mentions, this group of people have come with a mind to steal from the poor and leave them empty, right? For me, I feel pain when we have these brains in our communities that we can use these local resources. I'm a student of internal reignition of communities, so that when we have these monies that are coming from external, they just propel what is already existing. But that is not what that is not what is happening. This program should have been a bottom up, but in the construction of what I see, I can already see that someone is looking at this from the panopticon perspective and is trying to impose the values of what they think to themselves, which to me I don't think works better for such a project. Thank you, Abel.
Thank you so much, Eddie. Chairman, there is another problem which we are seeing already in other districts, and we have seen it in Kitgum, we have seen it in Kabale. The problem about corruption. There are some technical persons in the districts who are conniving to steal this money and eat it and leave the rest of the beneficiaries not benefiting from what they're supposed to benefit from. You, as one of the district chairpersons in this country, what are you doing to ensure that your technical personnel from the district side do not mismanage or decide to take away this money instead of using it to support the local beneficiaries?
Thank you. Thank you so much. Most of the corruption in the district local governments is imported from the center. We don't have much of the local bred corruption. I wish to inform you that all districts have cows or acting cows. The chief administrative officer is the accounting officer of all government resources and funds in the district. The chief administrative officer is appointed by the Public Service Commission, actually by the president on the advice of the Public Service Commission. The Public Service Commission in Kampala holds interviews and it deploys cows to the Ministry of Local Government. Their principal supervisor is the Minister of Local Government through the Permanent Secretary of the Ministry of Local Government. He deploys, reshuffles, transfers, and disciplines at will. The district local governments have literally 10 to 20% of power over cow. Cows wield these resources. There is no corruption that can happen in any district without the complacency, direct commission or omission by the chief administrative officer. And this is from the center. When I hear them saying corruption in local governments, I just look at them and even laugh at them. This corruption is exported from the center to the local governments. And this is the sad reality. Whereas our people are generically corrupt, they can even eat what is meant for them. You tell someone this is your lunch, you give it to him at 10 a.m., he will eat it at 11, knowing very well time for lunch is at 1:30. So people are generically corrupt. This is the big problem. We shall have to find another way how to deal with it. But when it comes to government resources, the technocrats in the top management of the district sit and siphon this money and allocate it to where they will benefit from it more. So our ordinary local people who don't have access to top management, and we have a problem of councillors. Many of our councillors, I don't want to call them P7 graduates, but I can say they don't have capacity to comprehend these documents. They are too many, too big, in too big English. It leaves really our people linked from planning, because they are representatives. Actually, not representatives, but also need representation when it comes to taking the issues of the local people to the decision-making table at local government. So the cycle of corruption can only be stopped by an active leadership that knows what it's doing. The office of the RDC being proactive. What is being done in Morocco, in Kitugum, Gulu, and Mitoma? Really, that is post. This is just a post-mortem. It doesn't help securing and saving the funds of the local people. We need proactive actions from other players in the local government. For example, the office of the chairman and councillors. The office of the RDC needs to be proactive. They need to be part of the planning. Our local people need more information about what is being planned and what is going to do, so that they can be able to use this information to follow up and track these resources when they come. But the quietness that happens in districts when the funds come really have left these funds in the hands of those who want to siphon them. And fortunately or unfortunately enough, the office of the Auditor General and our auditors in the districts connive and work with these public servants to siphon the money or even conceal what has been siphoned. So the problem is really big than meets the eye. But what we need to do as leaders is do our part. Talk, monitor, give information, and say the truth the way it is. We are sure the truth can set us free. But what happened in the Chugum and the Mitoma, I'm sure some whistleblowers chose to blow it out. But I'm sure more than 60 or 70% of districts have the same problem. But in other districts, it's being kept under the carpet, it's being smoothened and hidden until people forget about it. And this is a very sad irony that is affecting most government programs in the district.
Thank you, Chairman. Eddie, Chairman has just talked about the issue of capacity gaps among the councillors who are part of this government. And we also, you read the report from NGO Forum. It also highlighted about the infrastructure gap among some of the parish chiefs whom government recruited don't have offices where they operate from. So when we have such gaps, can they really help us help the program thrive to meet its goal, or it's just something that we don't see the light of the day?
You see, Abel, and I want Chairman to take this on. There is a deliberate lack of synergy with existing structures, especially in the private sector and the non-state institutions. Because the non-state and the private sector are hands-on. We are in the community and we know the challenges of the community. We are willing to support government, because if I'm living in Luyembe, where Chairman knows, and is living in Katuguro, where Chairman comes from, there's no reason why you should see your people in the same area and you're well off. Chairman knows that I started this program 8 years ago to ensure that can we come out of poverty. I remember, Chairman, I came to your office and I was a very big fan of the PDM when I heard of it. And I personally went to the Chairman's office to ask him, can I support the training of councillors? Can I support the training of parish chiefs? I don't need money because I'm doing it for free. I've invested a lot of money in development of these communities. I can still do it. But I'm not sure how the work, and if there's provision for private sector support or non-state support, would really be willing to support and salvage our situation, because this is our taxpayers' money. It really does me bad to come in my community and people are around me, there's no food, there's no salt, there's no soap, there's no, and you know, you are not government, but you feel like you need to support, right? So the issue of infrastructure of the councillors and the parish development committees or chiefs, we have infrastructure. I have, when COVID came, most of the kids we had, for example, in my school went away. I have free space. Pay them come and I give them free space to operate from. I shall facilitate them to work in the communities. I have the vehicles. They can go and mobilize, and they can only facilitate fuel, such that we can see this program moving on and on and on. I think Chairman should please take this message seriously. We are willing to support. Let government or authorities or local government structures come up to say who are those persons in the district countrywide that can support this program, and we shall be able to come and support. Otherwise, we also feel bad to see a whole government program that is designed well comes to a collapse. Secondly, if we cannot identify synergies within the households, let us identify those persons that have taken off within those communities and support them, produce at a large scale, so they can be able to give casual jobs, casual labor, support here and there as we build capacity experiential centers. At my facility, I have identified experiential centers in goat rearing, in cattle rearing, in skills development for the youth. The intent was, how can we mobilize these home enterprises, home persons, household heads and youth to come and learn from experience and go and implement. Otherwise, like Chairman mentions, there is no way you can give $1,000,000 to your fellow in Katuro to say, go and start an enterprise. The person has never gotten 50,000 shillings in his pocket. That money will either be wasted or eaten like nothing. So the issue of experience and capacity is critical in ensuring that we can salvage this good project that the government has started. Abel, to you.
Thank you so much, Eddie. Chairman, I want to bring you now. There is an issue also which people have raised and they are thinking of the lack of coordination between the political leaders and the technical officers in the implementation of this program. For example, during the selection of the beneficiaries and some beneficiaries and some districts were complaining that the politicians were ignored. It was more of the technical personnel or officers selecting the beneficiaries, and they would select people even they don't understand whether they are poor or not poor. They would all put them in those enterprises. So that's why we see some of them are now colluding to eat that money because they know the persons they selected, and that's why we are seeing a lot of corruption. So are we having such challenges also in your district, and is that something we are facing in other districts when you interact with other district chairpersons, the lack of coordination between the political wing and then the technical wing?
It is important to note, as I repeat, I already talked about it, that this is not the first program that has a similar operational nature that is being implemented in our districts and lower local governments. We have had similar programs implemented by the same technical staff in the same communities. There is like the same way you see cartels at national level. We have cartels at district level. We have cartels at sub-county level. We have cartels at parish level. These same cartels have opened their mouths wider, waiting for the parish development funds. They have benefited from all government programs and also want to follow this one. And those cartels don't want new people to be part of this program and even to benefit from them. We as politicians who are forward-looking and progressive would wish to partner with the private sector, because the private sector has some unique characteristics that they bring on board when they choose to move forward and develop their areas. But our technocrats will hide the guidelines. The formulators of the guidelines are technical people in Kampala. We are mere recipients of guidelines. We didn't even input anything in the guidelines. It's like we are reading from the Bible or Quran and we are implementing the way it is. So when you say now we need to synergize and work with the private sector, say, Mr. Chairman, we need to go back to the center to amend those guidelines. Now, the politicians at the top, my president, wants to use this as a bullet to entrench himself in the hearts and minds of the ordinary poor people at grassroots. But you see, there is a big politician at the parish. He is also the small president of Katuro Parish. So that small president of Katuro Parish also want to entrench himself using these PDM funds. So their cronies, relatives, and friends and campaigners have surrounded this vehicle called the PDM. And by the time we think about weakening them and liberating this PDM from the hands of these small presidents of the parishes, a year will be gone, a second year will be gone. So there is more than meets the eye, but I agree entirely that we have to do much more, do much talking, do more training, and open more eyes. We only have two hands, but I think we need like five hands to be able to put our thoughts on the ground. Short of that, this will be another program that will go to the West.
Last question for you, Mr. Chairman.
Yes,
Some
please.
political analysts do argue that the parish development model is another political tool that is being used by the current NRM regime to entrench itself in power and not really to economically empower citizens. What is your take on such assertion?
NRM, the NRM would be foolish not to use a government program to entrench itself as a party functionary, as a party functionary. I would also use any government program to entrench myself and entrench my party. The only challenge is wanting to take the good and not doing enough to ensure that the bad doesn't affect the good. As NRM, we should be doing more at all levels to ensure that more people benefit from this program, ensuring that this program succeeds, because the success of this program will directly and automatically lead to entrenchment of our government in the hearts and minds of the ordinary people who will have benefited from this program. And I don't see anything, I don't see any problem with it, because what Obote did is still on his name. So what Museveni will do must be on his name when he is in leadership or even after. I don't want us to delink politics from development because one drives the other. Our focus should be, are we doing the right thing? Are the desired objectives and goals being achieved? I think if we put more energies there, we will be able to ensure this program moves forward and takes Uganda forward, irrespective of who wins the next election in 2026.
Thank you so
Yeah.
much, Mr. Chairman. Eddie, do you have any suggestions on that of mixing politics and all these other things of development?
I'm not a politician, but I know that we are living in a political economy. Politics determines economics, but also economics determines politics. It is in the interest of the president that we have good economics, because good economics determines good politics. World over, if you've been following current affairs news, world over, in situations in countries where we have had economic downturns, Europe, in America, we have had politicians fall. So I would imagine that the president is blind to that. He's aware of that, and in my opinion, is that he has good intentions, but he's being let down by his own people that are not doing the right thing. But as I finish up this, I'm making a rallying call to my chairman. Chairman, sir, I'm still available. I want to support you to ensure that
Yes.
the economics
Yes.
of Luengo support the politics of Luengo, and you are sitting at the helm of the politics of Luengo. It's time for us, the homegrown politicians, the homegrown development experts that want to give back to our community, that we need to come in and support our own and be able to. The reason why I specifically, and I've told you this, went back to my communities, is to see that the generations that are coming after us do not find the same problems we found in Luyembe, in Katulo, in Chad, in Kasambia, in Rwebidari. You know, the challenges are so many. We need to use internal synergies and see how the government shall always find us there, but let us have our homegrown solutions that can help us to be better citizens of our Luengo district. I want to thank you so much, and I want to thank you, Chairman, for having accepted to be part of this discussion. Thank you, Abel.
Thank you so much, Eddie and Chairman. We have our time is fast spent, so I would like to give each of you about 2 minutes to conclude. I will start with you, Mr. Eddie.
Yeah, I've already given my concluding remarks, and in the concluding remarks, if I have to repeat, is for Chairman to ensure that we work together and be able to raise capacity of our people to be better citizens economically. Thank you, Abel.
Thank you, Eddie. Honorable Chitata, your concluding remarks?
Thank you, pleased and happy to have had this opportunity to share what we know and are doing with this program. We welcome all advice, and my arms are open. I will see that we work with the private sector to ensure that we do better, because we are all not comfortable with whatever is going on around us. And the first step to doing better is the understanding where you are right now. I'm sure through these interactions, we continue to understand better what we are going through and can plan better and implement better for God and my country.
Thank
Thank you
you.
so
Bye bye.
much, Honorable Chitata. Thank you so much, Eddie, for accepting to be hosted in this show today. It has been a great pleasure having all of you and sharing your insights with our guests, I mean, our viewers who are outside there. It has come to the tail end of today's show. Let's meet again next Friday, same time. My name is Abel Esero. But we urge all those people who are supporting government programs, please, let's support the government programs to succeed. Let's not eat the money and leave our beneficiaries not benefiting from what they're supposed to benefit from. Thank you. Meet you next time.